Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome to today's episode. Here it is. This is the big reveal. This is actually the engine we're going to be putting into our S2000. I know you guys are going to be questioning me saying, hey, I thought we were putting an inline six in this thing. And the answer to that is, I thought we were too. But I ultimately decided on something that I think is a little bit cooler, and I think you guys will actually appreciate this as well. This in front of us right now is a Chevy LV3. The awesome thing about this is their new Gen 5 V6, which shares a lot of the architecture, actually almost all of the architecture, from the Gen 5 LT V8s. And the awesome thing about this is these things make really good power. Stock, they're right at about 300 horsepower and just at about 320 foot-pounds of torque. With a cam, you can easily get up to 340 horsepower and like 360 foot-pounds, so 370 foot-pounds of torque. There's other cams that can push it even almost closer to 400 horsepower. And that's actually exactly kind of what we're going to be ultimately doing with this engine. At first, we're going to do an NA build. We're going to be shooting for right at about 320, 330 horsepower. I think that is going to be plenty for this motor. That should give us about 290 wheel horsepower to the rear wheels in the S2000. The awesome thing about these as well, I know I keep saying the awesome thing, is because these engines are really cool. The more and more I looked into them, the more this engine made sense for the build. This engine is 200 pounds lighter than an iron block 5.3, 100 pounds lighter than the aluminum version of the V8s. The nice thing about this is will also help keep the center of gravity farther back in the S2000, and I also think you wouldn't have to move the steering rack forward in order to accommodate this swap. We're probably going to be running a custom steering rack regardless, so I'm going to have to make my own mounts. But the cool thing about this is if anybody else wanted to do this swap, I don't think you'd have to actually do a lot of the extra things you need to do with the LS to make room for this motor, simply because you're saving that room with those 2 extra cylinders chopped off. There's a lot of things I'll be doing that some people may not like. I'm actually going to be deleting the direct injection simply for ease of tuning and for reliability. I hate how much carbon buildup you get with direct injection. You can see here I've already started actually cleaning this side of the motor. It's coming out really, really nice. The other side of the motor though, you can see there's still quite a bit of direct injection. And also this is the side of the motor where I did find the one issue with this motor that I was not aware of, but that's okay because I actually was expecting something like this. Over here in this lifter bore, there's a little bit of scarring on the wall itself. The good thing is it seems like it's leftover material from the lifter that was in there, and that's actually one of the cylinders that's involved with the DOD kit. And the DOD, what it is displacement on demand. It actually allows this engine to run on 4 cylinders instead of 6 to save fuel, just like how the V8s can shut off 4 of their cylinders to run in V4 mode as well. The issue with that is lifters have been failing around the 100,000 mile mark, and with how much carbon buildup was on this engine, I believe this engine was around the 100,000 mile mark. The good thing is, I feel like that material that's built in there is, like I said, left over from the lifter body itself. It doesn't feel like it's dug into the wall. So I have a honing kit on the way. I'm going to attempt to hone that just very, very lightly. We'll be pulling the cam out and actually taking apart the entire front of this motor. So as we get the cam out and everything, we'll be honing that and cleaning it. So I'll have easy access both above and below to properly clean it and make sure I do that properly. I think once that's repaired, this engine will be perfect. The bottom end rotates really, really freely. I haven't found any play in any of the rod caps or anything like that. So I think this is a really good engine core. This was only $400 on Facebook Marketplace. That's another awesome thing about these engines is they're becoming a lot more available, but less and less people I feel like know about them. So you're not seeing them on Marketplace as much, but they're all over junkyards. And I'm actually kind of planning on maybe trying to pick up a few from junkyards just to have some extra blocks on hand. The main thing we're going to be doing today is we have a kit here that'll allow us to delete the entire DOD system. That'll give us new lifters, new lifter trays. I also am going to go ahead and upgrade my springs and also my rocker arms. The reason for that is, unfortunately, the seller I bought it from did not inform me that they actually took apart this half of the engine. It's clear they probably knew that lifter had failed and they wanted to see how bad the damage was. Once they probably saw the scoring on the walls, they didn't want the block anymore. That's why I got it for $400. I actually do think it's repairable though. Like I said, it really isn't dug into the wall at all. And as long as it's a very, very, very minor hone, it really should not affect anything at all. So we're gonna try it. It should be okay. But I didn't get the push rods and the rocker arms that were on this side of the motor, along with like the dowel pins that go in the head and it's not really that big of a deal. They also didn't include most of the head bolts. I have brand new head bolts in that kit, so it's not a big deal at all. But I went ahead and upgraded the rocker arms to ones that have better bearings in them, so that way they should accommodate the cam that we're going to be throwing in, along with the LS7 springs that we're also putting in as well. So we'll be doing a little bit of head work. These heads are in great condition though, and they're exactly like the L86 heads, I believe, literally with just 2 cylinders chopped off. So the way we're also going to be deleting direct injection is we're actually probably not going to be using that stock intake. I'm probably going to get myself an LS1 or LS3 intake and just block off 2 of the cylinders. The awesome thing about this is all the V8 parts literally bolt on and swap with this block. So it's very easy to actually use a lot of the LS parts on this engine, because it's literally the exact same family and everything. That's why I'm really excited for this build. It should make us some really good power. There's also a couple guys that are running turbos on these, making easily 600 horsepower out of the stock bottom end. And I honestly don't ever really plan to go that much on the S2000. It's going to be so lightweight that 500 horsepower will be more than it'll ever need, and I really don't think I'll ever need that for racing regardless. So we're going to actually probably keep this mostly NA. I may eventually do a small turbo just for fun, because why not? Anyways, we got to install this kit. We're watching the video from them on how to install it. Let's get started.
I'm just calling to say I
actually just wanted to stop and take a moment to show you a product that I used to clean the engine today. Some of you just might be wondering what it is I used to clean up a lot of the carbon buildup that was on all of these pistons and on the head and everything. And this is actually it. It's Super Clean's Tough Task Cleaner Degreaser. They actually sent me a box of a couple of their products, and I've yet to really do a video on it, just because I actually haven't had a reason to, or something that I was actively working on that I needed to kind of clean in this manner to test their products. But I decided to give this a try to see how well it cleaned up, you know, the pistons and everything. And on the other side of the engine, I had actually used just regular old carb cleaner. And I was kind of getting a little worried. I didn't want to damage the rings too much, so I was kind of looking at some other options that might be a little bit better rather than using carb cleaner. And I was like, oh yeah, Super Clean sent me this. I really do need to see how well it works, and I was unbelievably impressed at how easily this just ate away all the carbon buildup on the pistons. As you can see, they are still very clean. They have just a little bit of like leftover material I just need to wipe off. It'll clean off just fine, but it actually ate away the carbon material on this side much easier than just even using carb cleaner that I used on the other side. I was very impressed. As you guys saw, I had to spray on several different coats to get it all off, but what I ended up doing was just spraying on a coat, letting it soak for like not even a minute. I'd wipe it down. Whoops. I'd wipe it down initially with just some paper towels and start with that. Then, oh, sorry, I had to fix something. Then after wiping it down with paper towels, I grab some Scotch-Brite pads that I had cut up into some strips like this, and I'd use those just to lightly, you know, scuff up the surface and kind of break off the grease and grime and material and everything, and that did wonders. I mean, I honestly was really impressed at how well this did. Super Clean is honestly not paying me at all to put this in the video. They just sent me the products and said, hey, we want you to give them a try and give us your honest opinion. My honest opinion on this is I'm impressed at how well this works. This does come in a couple different options. This is obviously the aerosol can. They do have a spray bottle that you can get as well that has the exact same formula, just in a spray bottle. And then they also have some grease and oil absorbent material that you can get, similar to cat litter that I've used in the past, that actually like soaks up a lot of the grease that you might spill on your driveway when you're working on cars and stuff. So I highly recommend it. I'm thoroughly impressed. Like I said, they genuinely didn't pay me for this. They just asked for my honest opinion on it, and I honestly would probably continue to buy this stuff just for cleaning and everything. It genuinely cleaned this block really well. I'm probably going to use it to clean most of the exterior of the block too once I get it all put back together, because I want to try to make this thing look nice. It's going to be in the S2000. S2000 hopefully is going to get a good amount of attention. I want this thing to look really good, and honestly, the Super Clean products made it look a lot better than I thought it was going to. So definitely recommend giving them a try. Go check them out. I think they're in most auto parts stores, pretty much like AutoZone, I'm almost 100% positive on, and O'Reilly's as well. So you guys should be able to find them pretty easily. Go give them a try. Hey guys, I just wanted to take a moment and show you something really cool that's in these V6 engines that is not in any of the V8 engines. It's actually this balance shaft that's up here at the very top. V6s naturally have kind of a little bit of a vibration in them due to the offset number of cylinders being 3 on each side, and they tend to just naturally vibrate a lot left and right. This balance shaft is here to kind of counteract that, and GM did this really for NVH reasons. It's so that way more vibrations and stuff didn't transfer over into the actual car itself. But I'm actually really surprised at the condition that this is in. It's spinning really freely. I don't feel any kind of resistance or anything built into it. Seems to be really fine. The cool thing is we're actually going to be deleting this because we're a race car. We really don't care about the little bit of extra vibration we might get from this. And it's really not an issue at all. Everybody has, or I say everybody, there's been several people that have ran these motors without these in them, and they've had no issues whatsoever. So we're going to actually be taking this out ourselves. I don't see any reason why we'll be having any issues with this if we take this out. Really, in racing applications, it's just extra weight and extra rotational mass and just an extra piece of machinery that can go wrong with this gear drive system. So we're just going to delete it all, take it out of here. It's going to simplify some things. There's also a mechanical pump back here for the high injection fuel pump, and that's what actually drives the direct injectors just above all of this when the valley covers here. So we're going to be deleting this as well. That'll just simplify the motor a lot more since we're going back to port injection for our fuel. So let's get back to work. Alrighty guys, so we got to a good stopping point last night, went ahead and took a break, but we're back at it again this morning. As you can see, we have the block all the way down to the short block. All that's left is the crankshaft, rods, and pistons. We got the camshaft taken out last night. Also have this taken out as well, which is called the balance shaft. For those of you that don't know, V6s naturally just tend to have a lot of vibrations in them. So what Chevy ended up doing to help kind of combat that was they put in a balance shaft up here. This is the one major difference that this engine has compared to the V8s. The V8s do not have this because they don't make the vibrations as much as V6s do. They find a way to actually block off the oil ports for these bearings and for the lobes where that shaft would rotate on. I need to figure out a way just to block the oil so that way we have proper oil pressure and everything. I think really all I need to do is just probably rotate these bearings about 45 degrees and we should be fine, to be honest. That's probably what I'm going to end up doing. But I'm going to look online, see what other people have done. I know I'm not the first one to delete this balance shaft. But other than that, I also went ahead and ordered a new oil pump. My oil pump really does seem to be fine, but since I'm in here, these oil pumps are only about 160 bucks brand new. I decided to go ahead and just get a new one. I want to go ahead and get it replaced while I'm in here. Only thing that I'm not replacing that would be brand new is the chain. My chain honestly seems to be in really good shape. There really isn't much wear on this tensioner as well. This tensioner seems to be in pretty good health. So I'm not really planning on replacing the chain. I think the chain's perfectly fine. There's really no reason that those ever fail nowadays. I do also have my port block off plugs. You can see I got one already installed here. The other two are in the freezer because I did have quite a bit of a hard time getting that put in. Put the other two in the freezer, hopefully to shrink them up. I'm going to grab them in a few hours. They'll be in there for about a 24-hour period once I grab them. So I'm going to try and grab those, put those in there. Hopefully should be a lot easier. Now that I do have the camshaft taken out though, the next thing we are going to do is going to go ahead and take care of this lifter bore that is a little messed up. I do have a few tools that I ordered. We got this ball set here to kind of hone it out, along with this brake cylinder hone tool. This one's probably going to be a little bit more aggressive, so I think I'm going to start with these ball type ones first. And essentially we'll just be putting those in there, rotating these on a drill, and I'm gonna put some cloth and stuff inside there through the camshaft hole to try and catch any droppings that come out. That way it doesn't obviously go back into the rods. Not that it matters too much. I got the oil pan and everything off, so everything should be going down to the bottom of the engine anyways, but I'm trying to protect the bearings as much as I can, so I'm gonna go ahead and put some paper towels in there just to catch everything while I get this all honed out. So let's get to it.
I'm just calling to say
Stage of the build, now that we have the cam installed, we're now actually going to be deleting the variable valve timing or the cam actuator that's built into the cam sprocket gear here. The way this works is it essentially will change the timing of the camshaft on the engine by allowing the sprocket itself to rotate by a certain number of degrees, both left and right. And that's controlled via oil pressure from the actual cam gear itself. It now has a solenoid in there that has a channel that it gets oil through the camshaft itself. Once it gets pressure, it then allows the timing for the camshaft to change. We're essentially just going to be blocking that off. They sell block-off plates for this, where you essentially are able to lock the sprocket itself into the 0 degree timing position, so that way it's essentially just a sprocket and nothing more. For our use case, we're going to be doing this so that way it's easier to tune and to make it a little bit more simpler to operate overall. So it was nothing hard at all. There's a good video on YouTube. I'll put a link down in the description below from the guys that actually provided this whole kit for the DoD Delete kit. They have a great video on how to install both the DoD kit and the cam sprocket tool blockout thing. So next we're going to move on to cleaning up the timing cover area. We got to clean up all the residue from the block itself, and then we'll also move on to the front timing cover itself next. As you can see here, we've moved over to the actual timing cover itself. I'm starting out by using just nothing more than a razor blade to clean off a lot of the RPD that's left over. This is normal. Anytime you take off the timing cover, you're going to have leftover RPD. After I did that, I then used our awesome super clean products to spray it down and let it kind of soak in for, like I was saying before, not even really a few minutes. It genuinely just needs a minute or two to soak in that stuff. You start wiping it down and it eats away all the grease and grime that is built up in that timing cover. And you'll see it cleans up really nicely with this stuff. I've genuinely been impressed with these products. Now that I have the timing cover clean, we're going to go ahead and get the cam sprocket back installed. This is a pretty simple process. Ultimately, you'll kind of see the video change here a little bit from the final timing cover install to what you're seeing right now. And this is because due to supply chain issues, I had to wait a little bit to get the actual bolt itself for the cam gear, and this is me torquing it down right here. Like I said, it's a little bit of a change of scenery. I'm now going ahead and installing the oil pump. This is a brand new one, like I explained earlier. I just didn't want to take any risks. Honestly, anytime you're in an engine this deep, it's always best just to go ahead and replace the oil pump, just for peace of mind. And now we have the timing cover installed. And next we're actually working on the heads. So this is where I was talking about we're going to be replacing the springs. Here are the LS7 springs, and here's a little trick just in case your spring retainers are stuck. Just tap them with that mallet. You honestly probably don't need to hit them as hard as I did. I did it a little bit hard because that one was genuinely really stuck. After that, you use this awesome spring compressor tool to simply just compress the spring down, and then you grab the retainers. As you can see here, this is what they look like. I just used a little magnet on the end of a clothes hanger to actually just grab them. It worked perfectly. After that, you essentially just undo the compressor, take out the spring, put the new spring in, compress it back down, put the retainers in, and repeat the process for every single spring on both heads. That's essentially what we're doing here. We're now just going through the other head, and I'm replacing all of the springs through there. Now that we have the springs replaced, we're going to go ahead and torque down the head bolts and then install our our push rods and then our rocker arms as well. These rocker arms are from Michigan Motorsports. They're the upgraded LT rocker arms. You can buy these directly from them. They have awesome upgraded bearings in them that should be able to handle high RPM loads, which we're not going to be pushing high RPMs per se, but this is really for peace of mind since we are going to be racing with this motor a lot, and we're going to be in the higher RPM range 90% of the time. After this, we're now actually deleting fuel injectors themselves. I got this awesome little kit that comes with these plugs that you simply just put in. I kind of lubed up the points that go all the way into the combustion chamber itself just to make it easier to install them. I then tapped them down with the mallet again, just very lightly tapped them in place, and then I put the rails that hold them down on, and these simply just replace where the factory fuel rails go. Next is the adapter for the LS intakes, and after that we're pretty much done. As you can see, I've already got a few other things on here like the motor mounts. We're pretty much getting ready to throw this thing in the car, and I'm excited to hear it run. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more. We definitely are going to be going full speed ahead with the RF1 build, and I hope to see you guys soon.